What is going on, everybody? It is Starkler76, and today I am coming forward with the most unfortunate video I've ever had to make on this channel, and probably ever anywhere in my life. And I know that this is the right thing to do, not only for Franklin's sake, but also for everyone else that is tuning into my channel, because I don't know when I'm gonna post anything else on here, at least not for a while. It's gonna be probably a long time before I post anything again. And I come forward with the unfortunate news, letting everyone know that my cat, Franklin, my favorite big kitty, also known as my fat cat, that was the first video ever posted on my YouTube channel, has passed away at the age of 15 on June 16, 2023. I had to say goodbye to my cat Franklin. And this just completely came out of nowhere, and I've already, worded to myself out loud by myself, like what exactly I'm going to say in this video and what I've wanted to say probably well over 10 times over the course of these past few days. And I decided to wait a few days before making the video just so that I knew I could at least be physically and mentally strong enough to finally talk about it. And I'm going to try to talk about as much as I can leading up to him passing away so people understand what happened. I'll say as much as I can and as much as I'm comfortable sharing. And um, what happened leading up to this. So on June 13th, 2023, I celebrated his 15th birthday. And he seemed just fine, completely fine at the time. I had no reason to think that his health was on the decline at all or anything like that. And only 3 days later, his health took a rapid decline and he had to be put down at the veterinarian's office, whatever you want to call it, the clinic. And, you know, on the day of his birthday, everyone had celebrated, and it was just so sudden. There were two things that made this so shocking for me to see that he was passing. I had no idea that after celebrating his birthday on the 13th, that I was only going to have him for 3 more days after that, because I even said in the post on Instagram that I didn't know how many more years I was going to have with him, and that, I'll make the most of what I have left. And if I knew that it was going to be his last birthday, I was going to celebrate with him, then I would have done things differently. And I had no idea that I was only going to have 3 more days left with him. And those 3 days weren't really good days either. He had slowly stopped eating his food, and he had slowly stopped drinking too, altogether. And when the vets weighed him, he said that he had lost, he weighed like only 12.5 pounds or something. And he originally weighed like 16 pounds. So he had already lost like over 4 pounds in such a short period of time by not eating or drinking anything. And he didn't want to sit on any chairs or anything. He didn't want to sit on our lap. He was just kind of going over to different spots in the house and just kind of laying down quietly and just like sleeping, or he was hiding under my bed and under our piano bench, not moving much. And every time I approached him and petted him, he would start purring, so he was still happy, but I didn't realize how much he was actually suffering. And he always got himself into glasses of water and stuff that people left out, and he would drink from them and knock them over. And, you know, uh, during the final night before we took him to the vet the next day, I took a glass of water I had in a blue cup and I held it right up to his face while I was holding him. And I just sat there for nearly a minute just telling him, like, please just drink this water. Please drink it. You haven't drinking anything in so long. And he sniffed it, but he didn't want to drink it. And I put him down by his food bowl and water bowl near the kitchen, and I told him that, um, like, please just try to have something if you can. And he slowly walked away from it and went and sat under the piano bench. And I went off to bed, and that was at 11 o'clock at night. And I got up to go to the bathroom at 2 in the morning, and he was still sitting under the piano bench. And again, he started purring when I started petting him, and he just wasn't doing so well. And the moment he wasn't drinking from that cup, I knew that something was seriously wrong with him. So we decided the next day to take him into the vet. Early in the morning at like 10 o'clock, I woke up and I thought it was just going to be me and my mom taking him. And I told her, you know what, I've never been to the vet with him before. I'm going to come with him just to see what it's like. And I had no idea that it was going to be the last time I was ever going to see him and also take him to the vet. And even my dad uh, left work at the same time to come down and visit too. So it was all three of us taking him to the vet, which wasn't the office wasn't too far away from our house. It was like not even a quarter of a mile away, so it was pretty close to home. And we took him down there. We didn't put him in the pet carrier or anything, and he only meowed once while on the car ride while I was holding him. And we took him into the office, and there were some kids walking out, and they were like, oh, look at that cat, he looks so cute. And even the people at the office thought he looked cute when I was holding him. And he still is, he still was. And he wasn't feisty at all either. And the wait time was really short, and we went into the vet's office, and um, they asked, like, what was the problem? And we said that, he's been kind of slow, a little sluggish. He hasn't eaten or drinking anything in a few days. We don't know what's wrong with him, and we're hoping that you guys can do something about it. And we they were feeling around with him. They were taking his temperature. They looked at his teeth and everything, and he was starting to get a little feisty because he absolutely loves me and the rest of my family, but he hates being around other people. He's like a ancient guardian of the house. And they did the tests, and yeah, he got a little feisty, but I got to sit there and pet him the whole time while they were looking at him. And they took his temperature and his heart rate, and they said that his temperature was a bit low and his heart rate was slower, which was understandable because he, like I said many times, he hasn't eaten or drinking anything in so long. And I'm just gonna take a sip of water. They said that they wanted to do some blood work on him to see what else was going on and take some x-rays. So I said okay, and they took him into a private room that was far away from us, and we didn't hear anything, but we sat there in the office and we were texting my sister saying that the cat wasn't doing well, and we don't know what's going to come back for the tests. And at that point I was kind of starting to accept the possibility that he wasn't going to make it, even though I just kept denying it in my head, saying maybe he's just a little sick, or he he has something, like maybe he needed medicine or some water put in his system. And when they got the x-rays back, and the blood work, the veterinarian said that uh, he had zero urine in his bladder, um, and that his kidneys were failing him, and that one of them was like really, really small, that was uh, had a kidney stone in it that was almost the size of the kidney itself, and it was just like surrounding the stone, and that his other kidney was enlarged and still in pretty good condition, but it was full of kidney stones, like multiple stones. And they said that his blood work came back not looking good at all. There were many red flags and warning signs, negatives that were back on the blood. and that uh, he wasn't going to make it. And we were given three different options. And uh, again, I'm going to try to talk about these as best as I can, but it's going to be hard. The first option was we could take him to a private hospital where he would be taken care of properly by other veterinarians and doctors for a few days, where they would use IV bags and stuff to, not like force feed him, but just feed him water into his system medically in hopes of him trying to pass the kidney stones and get him to pee it out and stuff. And he would probably need a surgery or two in order to do it, to get rid of the stones. And again, he was 15, so gosh, I can't even refer to him in the past tense. I just refer to him like as if he's still here. And for his age and the amount of suffering he would have been through physically and mentally, we knew that this procedure would have completely traumatized him had it all worked out. If the surgeries worked and he did get the water in his system, even if it did work out, we knew that it would mentally traumatize him for the rest of his life, knowing that we just left him there behind without any of us present around him. And we don't even know how long he would live after that, because he's an old boy. He was 76 years old in cat years, um, which was 15. And also it would have cost thousands and thousands of dollars to go through with it. And it's not like we couldn't afford it, because we could. I would have been willing to pay for the whole thing, because even I had the money to pay for it. And we decided not to do it because he physically wasn't going to make it, most likely, and mentally it would have traumatized him if he did make it, and it would have financially hurt us a lot if we had gone through with it. So we said no to the first option, and I know that it was a good choice not to go through with it. The second option was to simply take him home and let him pass away peacefully in our house. And this is an option that I've kind of gone back and forth in my head about whether or not this would have been the right thing to do, but he probably would have made it throughout the rest of the day, the 13th, and then he probably, if he did survive that, he would have maybe lived throughout the next day and then passed away that night. But I didn't want to wake up to see the day where he would just be completely dead, laying on the floor under the piano bench or under my bed. Um, and we decided not to do that. So then you guys are probably asking, what is the third option? And the third option was euthanization. And that's three different steps that they would take for it. The first step, the first shot they would give him would relax him, and then the second shot would put him to sleep, just asleep, kind of like what's it called? Anesthesia. And then the third shot would be the one that would stop his heart, that would lead to his death, passing away peacefully. And we decided to go with euthanization, and they gave us a bunch of time to say goodbye to him. And again, you have to think about how subtle this was. I had just celebrated his birthday 3 days prior to taking him in, and he had shown zero signs of getting any worse. And we decided, this is what we're going to do. We celebrated his birthday 3 days ago, and now we're not going to see him anymore. And now we're going to have to say goodbye to him with his health rapidly deteriorating. And we said yes to doing it. And he was in this little cat carrier, like a little soft round bed, a gray bed. Maybe I'll take a picture of it. He hated that thing so much. Whenever we put him in it, he would instantly jump out of it. The first time he saw it, my dad dropped him down inside of it, and he instantly jumped out of the carrier the second my dad put him into it. He did not like that thing, and he was sitting in it. We brought it with, and he was sitting in it peacefully. And the doctors, the vets, when they were you know pressing in on his stomach and his belly to check him out. He was in pain and he was meowing and getting feisty. And even the vets let us know that he definitely showed more of his aggressive side when they did the blood work and the x-rays. And um, yeah, and when he was laying with us, they let us sit there in the private room for nearly an hour just to, say goodbye and just pet him one more time. And he sat on the cold floor, the tiled floor, and just sat there, and he just kind of put his head down into his paws and was sitting there quietly, not really looking at us much. But if he was in good health, he would have been walking around the room and smelling stuff. And we sat there and we were just saying goodbye and mentally preparing ourselves for what was about to happen, even though you can't mentally prepare yourself for anything as traumatizing and heartbreaking as this. And um, we we were we were saying goodbye to him, and eventually he got up, and he could barely even walk his hind legs. He was carrying himself. He was in so much pain, and I picked him up, and he didn't mind me picking him up one last time, and I held him kind of like a baby because he loves being held like that. And I just sat there and I rubbed his belly and petted him on the side of his head and scratched his cheeks. And he tried to purr, but he couldn't. But it was very soft and mellow, and only I could really hear him. My dad couldn't hear him purring, but I could tell that he was trying to. And if I do post the picture of me holding him one last time, then I will post it. And in that picture, you'll probably see my face. You'll see what I look like. That, now you'll know if I do post it or not, that there was a real person behind this entire persona that I've set up over the years. And um, you'll know that I'm a real person with feelings and emotions, and I'm not scared to show my face now because I'm 24. And for those who haven't seen my face before, now you know what I look like. Um, and so, yeah, I just sat there for a long time and held on to him. He never squirmed around. He sat quietly in my arms and on my lap, and then finally they came in with the kit, the euthanization kit, and they asked me to put him up on the table. And while they were holding him down, there were two vets holding him down, and he started to show more of his aggressive side, and he actually hissed at them. And my mom told me to get up to go and comfort him. And while he was lashing out at them, because they were holding him down tightly while they were giving him the shot, and I don't think it was the shot that was bugging him, the shot that just relaxed him. He was feisty because they were holding him down so much. And when I went to go and cover him and pet him on the head, he accidentally bit him. He gave me the worst injury I've ever had in the 15 years of having him, and it was gushing with blood, and I had to be taken to a private room where they dipped my hand in disinfectant. And I'm actually taking antibiotics right now because it got infected and there was pus coming out of it. But for those who say like, oh, I'm so sorry about that, it's okay. I know that he was feisty in his final moment, and I don't think that bite was meant for me. He never scratched either, by the way. He always bit people. He was a biter, never a scratcher, and his claws were fully sharp, and we didn't clip his claws at all. And they gave the first shot, and he was relaxed, and we took a picture with him, one final picture while he was still alive. And while he was laying there, I sat down with him, really close to him, because I was sitting down because I was scared I was going to pass out from the shock of the pain of the bite that he gave me. And I sat there, and he was looking at me, and I was looking back at him, and I could see my face in the reflection of his eyes, knowing that he could still see me while he was relaxed. And I was just thanking him for being such an awesome cat and being the best cat I've ever had in my life. And I wouldn't have made it without him. And I told him how much I loved him and that I will see him again someday. And then they gave him the second shot that put him to sleep, and his eyes were still dilating in and out while he was looking at me. And his ears were twitching back and forth because we were talking to him and he could still hear us. And then he fell asleep and I could still see his tail wiggling, wagging back and forth, and his chest was rising up and down. So I knew he was still alive and he could see me and hear me. And um, then the third shot came, which was the one that was going to stop his heart. And I made sure that while he was getting that final shot, that the last thing that he looked at before he passed away was my face. It ended with me, and then he passed right there in front of me, and I got to have the proper send off that I wanted. I wanted him to be there with me. Um, when he passed away, I didn't want him to be alone, and he wasn't. The last thing that he saw before things went dark for him was me and everyone else, but it was me, my face and his. I saw my face in his reflection. And then when the vet came out, she was really kind and caring about it. And I asked her how long she had been there for, and she said that she had worked there for a couple years and that she had put down many pets before, so this wasn't too big of a deal for her. Or it probably was, but she didn't show too much negative emotions, but she was nice and she was smiling with us. And um, she said that she had had a few cats before and that all the cats that she had only lived to be around 7 years old, and that's it. And my cat got to live to be more than double of that, 15. And another lady came in and said, hey, would you like some paw prints to remember him by? And we said yes, of course. And we got two paw prints, and we got a big blue one with his paws in it, and even his claws kind of made some gouging marks in it because again they were still at like full length, and we didn't clip them. So I got a blue one for me and a pink one for my sister, and we put them in the oven at home so they would get hard and crisp. And I got one sitting by my bedside, so every time I sleep now, his paw print will be right there with me. And after that, they told him that we would have to take his body up to the university of where they're because he bit me. They have to do tests to make sure that he doesn't have rabies or anything, and I know that he doesn't. A few days of again, it's been like 4 days since he passed away, and I have no signs of rabies, just the infection from the bite that he gave me on accident. And as far as like remains go, he will be cremated after they do the testing on him, and we won't get his cremation remains back. Instead, he'll be um, processed and cremated in the lab by the students that will see, and doctors that will see if he has anything in him or not. And I was expecting a call today, but I never received one, never got one saying anything. So I can only assume that he didn't have anything, because if it's rabies, they would have to urgently call back, but he had nothing like that. Um, and so his remains will be his cremated remains will be buried properly near the university, not just at a clinic, but like near the university, and that will be it. And I have a small baggie that has some of his claws that he's clipped off in his scratching posts that I picked up. I have like over 10 of them in a bag, and I have like 6 of his whiskers that have fallen off over the years sitting in a bag too, and a little clump of his fur, a tiny, tiny clump of his fur sitting in the bag too. So I do have his remains of my own, um, that sit in a bag in my room. So I still have that. Um, and that was it. And I don't know how I slept that night, or any of us did, but we were just hugging and crying. And I finally made the post on Instagram saying that, I had to say goodbye to him. And, again, it had only been 3 days since his birthday, and everyone was wishing him happy birthday. And that's what makes it even more shocking. Those two things, just how subtle it came, the rapid decline in his health, and um, the you know, the fact that it was only 3 days after his birthday, because I said I didn't know how many more years I had left with him, and it was only 3 more days, and I had no idea that it was only 3 more days, and now he's gone. My cat that I had for 15 years, I got him when I was in third grade, I believe, when I was only 9 years old, back in 2008, and you have to realize how long I actually had this cat for and how long he was able to support me throughout my life as I grew up with him. Because I had him throughout the rest of elementary school, which was like the rest of third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. I had him through all of middle school, all of high school. I had him through all 3 years that I had going to college, the final year also taking place during the pandemic. Um, and he supported me throughout that. And he was also with me throughout two internships for jobs that I had just finished up. Like only a month ago, I finished up my second internship. And now I'm looking for a full time job. And if it's not full time, then it'll at least start at part time and hopefully work its way up to a full time job. And I'm going to have to do it without him. He's not going to be here when I finally get it, whatever time that happens to be. I'm going to try to get the job. I'm going to try to do and get so many other things set up for myself and in my life, and I'm going to keep trying to run my YouTube channel as best as I can even without him. And as a side note, because I know that something like this is probably going to happen, just stating what time the video was recorded, because I have quite a few videos that I've pre-recorded prior to him passing away, just so people know that it doesn't sound or seem like I had gotten over his death really quickly, because I'm never going to get over something like this. It's going to be a really long, tough recovery from this. And it's going to be so hard continuing on without him in my life, but I'm so thankful that I got to have him for as long as I did. I've already started to feel the early effects of him not being here, because when you have a cat in your house, he was always indoors. You recognize all the sounds and things that he does. And even when I went to bed the night he passed away, I was half expecting him to come into the bathroom, like push the door open with his head, because I leave the door open a crack, and come in and jump on the toilet and then jump and sit by the sinks waiting for me to wash my hands, because he liked drinking the water out of the sink. And I'd have to pick him up and put him outside the bathroom and close the door then. And I'd hear him scratching the carpet outside of it, and he would jump up on the bed sometimes or at least half the time, just to check on me at night, and he would sleep on the bed with me because he was a lap cat. He loved showing affection for us. Whenever we were pulling in and out of the house, he would walk up to the bench by the front door, and when we pulled in, I'd always half expect him to be sitting there at the bench waiting for us, and um, you know, um, yeah, it's tough because even late at night I go to the bathroom and he would sit outside and uh, be just waiting there for me. And I've taken pictures too of most of the stuff that he's done just to capture the moments. And, um, you know, those early signs are already here. And it's so devastating losing him. But again, I know that he's in a better place right now, and he's having so much fun with so many other cats that passed away, because we've seen other family members cats go, and for anyone that's lost a pet or still has one, that pet is up there with him right now having fun, and he's going to be having fun with more pets too. And I'm so happy that I got to have him for as long as I did, 15 years, when I was 9 years old all the way until I'm 24 now. And life is going to have to go on without him. And I was just watching some movies and stuff over these past few days, just, not only to cope with the grief, but just to occupy my time with something, because I feel like I can't do any games or videos or anything normal right now because I'm still recovering from this. But there are three quotes from three different movies that I want to just say while I'm here. And the first one is from the movie Avatar. that came out in 2009, and Jake Sully said that while he was learning his ways from the Na'vi, that he said, and I quote, that all energy is borrowed, and one day you have to give it back. And that's what happened with Franklin, and it's going to happen with all of us. We're all on borrowed time in this world, and one day we're going to have to give it all back. Um, and then I was watching Kung Fu Panda, the first movie, and I remember when Master Oogway said to Shifu moments before he passed away, he said, "My time has come. You must continue your journey without me." And that's true. I'm going to have to continue my journey the rest of my life, whatever job I get and whatever I do in the future, without him. And it's going to be hard doing it without him, but I'm going to do it anyways. And then there was an old movie that I remembered called Homeward Bound, and it's a story about these three animals that I can't even remember the story, but it was kind of like a comedy that had to do with these two dogs and a cat that were like out in the wild just trying to survive, trying to get back home. And one of the dogs, as they get so close back to home, uh, one of the dogs says, "You've learned everything you need, Chance. Now all you have to learn is how to say goodbye." And that's true. And it's so hard saying goodbye to this cat, and it's gonna be tough. I feel like I've kind of rambled on for a while. And as far as like origins go for the cat, for those who want to know how I got him to begin with so long ago, I still remember. I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was a movie called Star Wars: The Clone Wars that came out in 2008, and I wanted to see it with my father. And we went and we saw the movie, and after we saw the movie, when we left the theater, I could see the store PetSmart from far away. And I just said, I can't remember if it was me or him who suggested going there just to look around at the animals. But I just said, let's go over there and let's look at the animals. And we saw, we went there and we saw the cat enclosure, and there were four cats there. I remember three of them were like dark colored cats, like a mix of black and white and gray. And then there was an orange tabby, and we looked at his little adoption sheet, and it said his name was Franklin. And for all the other cats, they were worth like 70 something dollars, and for some reason Franklin was worth around 100. And I don't know if that was because he was like an orange tabby or what, but he was only like 4 months old at that time. And the thing is, he actually had like four or five other brothers that were named after a bunch of other iconic like people in history. So Franklin was named after um, Benjamin Franklin, and then he also had a brother named Teddy that was named after Teddy Roosevelt, and I think he might have had another brother that was named Abe, which was supposed to be named after Abe Lincoln, but don't quote me on that because I don't know if that was 100% factual or not. But anyways, it was just him, so I don't know what happened to his brothers or anything. We saw him in there, and of course I didn't think we were gonna adopt him, but my dad said, "Oh, well, would you like to have a look at him?" And I said, "Yeah, of course, sure." And so we went in there, and one of the employees opened up this door to a private room, and we got to have a look at him. And we I just kind of played around with him with some toys, and I was just a kid playing around with him with these little cat toys, and he liked me, and he sort of likes my dad. That was it, and me and him bonded right away, and he said, "You know what? My dad said, you know what? Let's put in an adoption sheet sign up." So we signed some documents, and they said that they got our name on file and that we'll come in like the next day or something real soon to help finish the adoption papers. And I remember when we went in the next day just to look at him, and it was me and my sister and my mom and my dad were all there, and we were running straight towards the cage, and he was looking right up at us. And I just thought, yeah, me and this cat, we already have a connection together. And yeah, we got to have a second look at him, and my memory's a little fuzzy, but I think we got to have a second look at him, and we played around with him for a bit, and we got the adoption sheet signed up, and we were actually competing with another family that wanted him too, but for some reason I just had a strong feeling that we were going to be able to adopt him, and I just knew that it was going to happen. Even my 9-year-old self just knew that we were going to get this cat, and I was right because the other family couldn't take care of him due to circumstances that remain unknown. And we got to just hold him, and we brought in the pet carrier, and he actually climbed up the side of the cage, like how cats climb up trees. And we got the carrier, and he knew. And even my sister yelled. She said, "He's ready." And we took him home. And he meowed in the car. He never liked car rides. From the moment we took him away from PetSmart, he was meowing in the car. And to the moment we took him to the vet one last time, he meowed in the car once. He never liked car rides. And he he's yeah, we took him home, and I think at the time we were watching Disney Channel. I think I was watching, like, I don't know what I was watching. Maybe it was like that show Hannah Montana or something, and we were just like, me and my sister were just freaking out. We were so excited. We're like, "Oh my gosh, we actually have a pet cat." And yeah, he became a lap cat, and he slept with us some nights. Um and he grew fast. He got to be a really big cat, like much larger than all the other cats, and he was a protector. He was like a lion. And I remember on his personality sheet when we were adopting him, it said that he purrs when you hold him. And he purred all the way to the end when I held him one last time. He tried to purr. I could tell that he was trying, even though I could barely hear it, and it wasn't as strong as all the other purrs. He was in so much pain, and I just knew it was the right thing to go through with this. And he got to see me before he passed away, and we got to have him for 15 incredible years that I got to have with him, and I'm so happy that I got to have him. And you know what? I didn't choose him. That's the thing. It may seem like it because we went to PetSmart and we adopted him, but I didn't choose him. He chose me as his companion that he wanted to be with. He had showed so much affection, and me and him were completely inseparable, and I can't imagine life without him now. But I'm surrounded by so much support from everyone. I have more support than I have ever had now in my life than ever before. And even though I'm not going to get to hold him or pet him again, and he's not going to be able to play with his toys again or eat his food out of his bowl, I'm going to miss him going down to his litter box and cleaning it out, because I still have to clean it out one last time. And I'll get to do it, and I'll do it with pride. I know that I'll get to meet him again someday. This is just a temporary connection that's broken. We were inseparable, me and him, and the only thing that separated us physically in the end was him passing away. But I know that I'll get to be with him again someday. I'm gonna miss holding him. I'm gonna miss feeding him. I'm gonna miss his purring. I'm gonna miss so much about him. But I have so many pictures and videos that I saved over the years that I'm gonna archive, and I might make a public archive for other people to see some of the pictures and videos. But for the most part, that archive is probably just gonna be posted on Instagram. But we'll see. But anyways, thank you guys so much. I looked up how many years cat years was 15, and it said on Google that 15 years was the equivalent to 76 cat years. And how symbolic is it that um, that was that the name of my channel was Starkler76, and the first video that I uploaded to my channel was my fat cat, and the description just says the cat is fat, and he still is, and he still was, even after losing 4 pounds. He was still pretty chunky but lightweight. And I uploaded the 10-year anniversary, and now I'm uploading this. And I'm probably gonna make a tribute video. Maybe it'll be like a music video full of pictures and art and stuff, and just giving him a more proper send-off tribute video. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for supporting me over the years, keeping me sane. I'm going to try to stay strong. I'm going to keep doing what I love to do. I'm going to get that job. I'm going to miss you so much, Franklin. It was such an honor to get to be with you. It was hard to film this. It was hard making this, and it's going to be really hard playing it back and going through all the pictures. But yeah, thank you guys so much for everything, and I will see you guys in whatever I make in the future. Franklin, I love you. I miss you. And I'm sorry that I didn't get to have more time with you, but I got to have 15 long years. And I'll miss you so much.